all of our wonderful candidates. So we're going to go back to our panelists, and we're going to start, and we're going to go in a different order, and we're going to start this time with Dr. Kim Delaney.
Okay.
What is your question for our candidates?
Yes, my question has to do with sexual assault. So recently, a student from Chicago State, an African-American studies student who recently graduated, Charles Preston, he broke a story about Trina Kim Townsend, a woman who was being molested as a young person in her home, and she saw a police officer that was familiar in the neighborhood and got his attention and told him about the molestation, and then he began to molest her. So she recently broke that story in the news, and it got a lot of attention. And then in addition to that, the new news last week with Elena Hampton, right, and her supervisor, Kevin Quinn, and that harassment that went on with her. So my question to the candidates is, under your leadership, what changes would the office implement in response to the culture of violation that has recently been brought to public attention by these cases and the national Me Too movement?
All right, let's we're going to do a little different. We're going to start inside out. Is that okay? And we will start with this gentleman. And don't forget, guys, make sure that you say your name first before you answer your questions.
So my name is Renato Mariotti, and I will tell you, nothing over the course of the last months has made me angrier than hearing a friend of mine talk about how she was sexually assaulted when she was down in Springfield lobbying for environmental legislation. It is wrong. It is wrong, and it's a disgrace that we have people who can't be safe when they're on a staff. They can't be safe when they're down in Springfield. It is absolutely wrong. We have to have zero tolerance for it, and we have to ask the question: why the hell was there no legislative inspector general down there in Springfield when all these women were getting assaulted and the complaints were coming up? And I'll tell you, this issue is not new to me. I'm proud to represent the founder of the Me Too movement as an attorney. It is frankly, it's one of the only good things that come out of the Trump administration is that movement. And what it has done is brought women out of the shadows, speaking out. And what we have to do as Attorney General is we have to be out there investigating the cases where there are, like what's going on down in Springfield, where there is no oversight, no accountability, and no one there to investigate these complaints.
All right, then, thank you very much. Let's start with Governor Quinn on this side.
I think it was a major failure of the General Assembly, the senators in particular, when 27 complaints were filed and they were just thrown in a binder. There was no Inspector General, as Renato just mentioned, for 3 years. Now, anybody who's a senator ought to do something about that. And I think that's one of the problems that was raised by Ms. Hampton, that there was not an action that somebody could take. And I think it's very important that the Attorney General not give free passes to legislators when it comes to any kind of harassment. When I was governor, I signed bills to deal with bullying, to help the survivors of domestic violence. I think it's very important that we have an ethics initiative in Illinois, because if the legislature won't police and reform itself, the people ought to, by petition and referendum, be able to put strong safeguards against sexual assault and any other kind of corruption that the people want, even if the politicians don't. And I'm Pat Quinn.
All right, thank you very much. And let's go now to Mr. Goldstein.
First of all, as Attorney General, I have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to sexual harassment. It just needs to stop. There's really nothing more to say other than it needs to be stopped. But what's happening, and particularly when it comes to legislation, I see this hand